Kamala Harris's manliness is put into question, and Biden addresses conspiracies from Marjorie Taylor Green. I'm John Mike Keene.
You know, you mentioned her change in rhetoric where she's trying to, okay, now I'm the strong person. Donald Trump is the weak person.
Just as a guy, we're not buying it.
Just speaking as a dude, right? A country guy, you know, I'm just telling you right now. I mean, I talk to lots of guys, you know, I'm a bro. So when you talk to people, no one's looking at her and saying, this is the strong leader.
Look at the gal to his left. This is my favorite look ever. Just going, no one's saying Kamala's a leader. Never tell a woman that. At first glance, if a woman steps into leadership, you have to all applaud her and saying she's stronger than any man. Kamala is not pulling it off.
And that plays out in the data. You see that in the data.
That's a whole other conversation.
Well, if you're not willing to have it, then we're allowed to speculate. It's going to be dismissed as sexism, and it's not. I mean, maybe it is. But whatever it's saying is Kamala Harris, for whatever reason, it might be because she's a woman, but I don't think it's because she's a woman, because if Tim Walz was the leader, he would be seen as weak. And Joe Biden is a man. He's a human man. And he's seen as way weaker than Kamala Harris. I would bet Kamala Harris could beat him in an arm wrestling match right now.
Yeah, it's fine. It's not a sexist, but it's not a sexist thing to say, which is what people dismiss it as.
I think that is worth unpacking.
It is
100%, and it is a challenge for her, but it may not be for the reason that you're saying.
They're not going to, because they have to pretend like she has no challenge, like she has no problems, like all of her leadership style. Why can't it just be that she's a fool and a boob and an idiot? They can't say that because she's the first stunning woman, black president. It prevents you from being able to tell the truth. We've had strong leaders, Condoleezza Rice, there's all kinds of Tulsi Gabbard, lots of great strong leaders. I've said Elise Stefanik, I think, is a great strong leader. These people won't hear it, that you're not allowed to call a woman a weak leader.
Over the last few weeks, there's been reckless and irresponsible and relentless promotion of disinformation and outright lies about what's going on. It's undermining confidence in the people in Florida, and incredible rescue and recovery work that has been undertaken.
And this is just Biden politicizing the hurricane. He's mumbling through these words about the teleprompter a bunch of people gave him.
Quite frankly, these lies are un-American, and there is simply no place for them. Not now, not ever. Former President Trump has led this onslaught of lies.
And that in and of itself is a lie. And someone should come out and correct Biden on this lie.
Assertions have been made that property is being confiscated. That's simply not true. They're saying people impacted by these storms will receive $750 in cash and no more. That is simply not true either.
But we have videos on the ground, I've seen them myself, of people on the ground trying to get their money and they can't get it. So I know that your intent might be for FEMA to pay them $750 a piece, but the actual execution of the government pulling that off has been a disaster.
They're saying that money needed for these crises are being diverted to migrants. What the heck are they talking about?
Did they use FEMA money to pay and care and house illegal migrants?
Oh, absolutely. They used FEMA money.
Stop it. It's outrageous. It's just not true.
Federal lawmakers have negotiated $800 million to give out as grants to cities seeing an influx of migrants. Sources say Senator Chuck Schumer has already discussed with FEMA the allocation of a substantial amount of it for New York City.
But we're reporting it from old video footage by CNN, MSNBC, CBS News. They all reported on it. Money being redirected.
Funding is also available through FEMA's Emergency Food and Shelter Program to eligible local governments and non-for-profit organizations upon request to support humanitarian relief for migrants. I want it to be untrue also, but I'm just saying, your guys said this.
Now the claims are getting even more bizarre. Marjorie Taylor Green, the congresswoman from Georgia,
is a pretty awesome lady.
You can't call a woman a weak leader, but Joe Biden can call Marjorie Taylor Green a conspiracy theory.
You see that in the data.
That's a whole other conversation.
What happened to us not addressing criticizing women when Joe Biden is criticizing Marjorie Taylor Green?
is now saying the federal government is literally controlling the weather. We're controlling the weather. It's beyond ridiculous. It's so stupid. It's got to stop.
Now, I'm one to call Marjorie Taylor Green a crazy for thinking the government is controlling the weather. And then she posts a video from the Pentagon where they're saying they control the weather.
Another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI, a method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. An SAI program could limit global temperature increases, reducing some risks associated with higher temperatures and providing the world economy additional time to transition from fossil fuels. On the geopolitical side, the technology's potential to alter weather patterns and benefit certain regions of the world at the expense of other regions could trigger sharp opposition by some nations.
Now, I'm not promoting that. I'm not supporting that. I'm not spreading that. I'm only saying she wasn't quoting like QAnon or some weirdo website. She quoted a pretty mainstream Democrat source on that.
And now we're learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning. CBS This Morning contributor Michio Kaku is a physics professor at City College.
So we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far it works. When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning. Katie, go ahead.
Well, this fascinates me in part because, too, I remember reading the stories that China had used this during the Olympics, that the USSR had used this after Chernobyl to create rain clouds. I mean, did those really work then? We have some of these capabilities now?
Inconclusive. Even in the 60s, the CIA used this to bring down monsoons during the Vietnam War, to wash out the Viet Cong. Governments have been playing with this thing.
Alleged to.
Alleged to, right.
Yeah.
Now, realize that for decades now, these governments have been alleged to have experimented with weather control, but nothing conclusive. This time we're bringing in the laws of physics. We're actually using trillion-watt lasers now. And in the laboratory, sure enough, they precipitate rain out of water vapor. Sure enough, you can actually bring down electricity down the beam. You name it, outdoor events and agriculture and flooding and even hurricanes. All of them could be subject to weather modification.
And I don't think it's widespread. I don't think most people believe that. I don't think that's what Trump and what most people are complaining about regarding these hurricanes that the government, you're not hearing me say it. I'm not saying that's what's wrong with the world. I think these are natural occurring events. I do think what's wrong with it is FEMA and any government agency. If people are relying on them, you're in trouble. The government can't do jack doodly squat. That's not promoting dissent or being mean. If people are less reliant on the government and more reliant on themselves, then they're probably more likely to save their own lives than relying on the government. I'm John Mike Keene.